Funnily enough, we're in the gym today. We haven't done this for a while, and we're actually going to do a different session. Every time I'm in the gym, I seemingly do a pull day. So we've made an effort not to do that today, and we're going to do a push day. And quite frankly, I'm really nervous because I have to do heavy incline Smith, and I have been anxious about it for 5 days. That's not a joke. The hardest thing about training is working out all the maths. I don't know anymore. I don't know who I am. I'm actually going to address something which I think gets brought up a lot. I see a lot of people online at the moment talk about warm-up sets, how, oh, you only need to do like 1 rep for a warm-up or 1 warm-up set. That's fine if you don't lift a lot. If you're relatively strong, you're going to do a lot more than that. I will be doing about 7 warm-up sets. And everyone's like, that's excessive. You put 4 plates on the incline and tell me how quickly you can warm up. I'm halfway through my warm-ups now. I'm going to do a few more. Rather than kind of talking between sets, I do so many warm-up sets, you'd be here for a lifetime. I'm going to waffle about things, do my sets, and you're going to see me again later. Basically, like I mentioned earlier, is I don't rush my warm-ups. When you lift any kind of substantial weight, which again, strength is relative, do not rush your warm-ups, but warm up in a manner that doesn't fatigue you. I'm not out here doing 20, 15, 12 reps. I'm going to end up doing 3s, 2s, 1s, things like that, where I can familiarize myself with the weight, familiarize myself with the movement, but not waste energy and not fatigue myself when it comes to working sets. Sure, if you're doing like an accessory, 1 or 2 warm-ups is fine, but for a big compound movement, you may need 3, you may need 4. It really depends how strong you are. Like I said, I do about 7 on this because it's my big movement and I am quite good at pressing. So it kind of makes sense. Could I do less? Maybe, but I've had some issues in the past. I don't want to risk it and I'm not in a rush. So I'd rather play it safe, because it's better to be safe than sorry. So now you're going to watch me get really sad and probably replay an Attack on Titan final edit over and over again until I nearly cry before pressing. It's my Attack on Titan edit I'm going to replay over and over again. Makes me very sad. Seven. Probably could have pushed 1 more if I cried. I can breathe now, I'm so nervous. Nice. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, good idea. Oh, dream. I've got similar sessions to you, will probably behave yourself. Never. He's too scared to train here. So set's done, basically. Actually went a lot better than expected. 4 plates in the incline for 7. Probably could have got 1 more. Wish I went for 1 more. Regretting my decisions and feeling a bit like a failure right now. I'm sure many of you have been there. Went well. To be honest, went well. It's progressively going up each week, which is what we look for. I think one of the things that people really neglect is the importance of progressive overload, which is simply doing more every session if you can. It doesn't always happen that way. It's realistically going to happen maybe every 1 to 4 weeks, but you want to try and do more weight or you want to try and do more reps each week or as often as you can within that window. This is kind of an indicator that you are making progress. And if you're not making progress, something probably needs to change. That's the hardest bit of my session done. The rest of it is kind of like, I don't say fluff stuff, because everything's important and has a purpose, but requires a lot less warming up and a lot less, I guess, mental fatigue, where I'm doing fly variations, triceps, shoulders, things like that, where I don't really have to get too amped up for the movement because it's not the one that I fear. I think when you're pressing heavy, squatting heavy, deadlifting heavy, whatever it may be, there's an element of fear that you might hurt yourself, which I know shouldn't be associated with weight use. It's just I've had bad experiences. But also an element of set to yourself like expectations, and I knew that if I didn't hit what I wanted to hit, I would have been quite disappointed. And I know it's not that deep, it's just training. So now we're doing some flies, with the whole stack, obviously. I found a grey hair. Found a few grey hairs. I feel a bit anxious about it now. Go away. So on the agenda, not in this order. The order's a bit off because it's quite busy in the gym today. And if anyone complains about the music being loud, I don't own the gym. It's a public gym, what do you want me to do? So I've got the incline press, machine flies, I've got a cable fly variant, cable lateral raises, dumbbell lateral raises, seated or incline, tricep pushdowns, rope, and incline dumbbell skull crushers. That's it. Again, you have to remember this program is catered to me, my weaknesses, and what I want to achieve. Doesn't mean it's going to work for you, doesn't mean you should do it. This is very much designed for me and where I am lagging and where I need to put emphasis. So ultimately, one thing that people really neglect to understand is that your goals should dictate how you train. It shouldn't be due to what I mentioned in a previous video, your body type, any of that nonsense. It is, what do you want to achieve? Train for that purpose. It's that simple. I'll rest for like another minute, and then maybe 2, probably 1, and then I'll go. Next movement, choice is just isolations now. Moving on to some shoulder work. People are going to complain to me because I haven't done it yet, but you're going to see 2 lateral raise variations. Why am I doing it? Quite frankly, because I want to and because I was told to, and I do as I'm told. Remember that. Clients watching this, do as you're told. Trust the process and you'll see. So what we're doing now is cable lateral raise variation. Big thing here is normally I preach the importance of resting between sides. I'm not going to do that here. The reason why I'm not doing that here is because I have a weakness. So my left side is a bit more underdeveloped than my right side when looking at my delts. So rather than resting between sides, I'm going to start with the weaker side, go straight into the stronger side because I want that weaker side to catch up. If you don't have an imbalance, rest between sides. If you do have an imbalance, probably makes more sense to just go straight into it. Many of you are probably not pondering, but might be. Wrist straps on a side raise. Harry, what are you doing? If my grip is involved into any capacity, I will strap up. It's not worth even risking a limiting factor or something that could hinder my ability to put as much emphasis on the target musculature as possible, so I'll strap up. When I do these, I try and lead my elbow. I might turn the pinky ever so slightly up. Just so I find a lot of people when they do side raise variations, they end up doing this and bending their arm. I don't want to do that. You look at what your upper arm is doing relative to the ground, to the body. I want it to be high, I don't want it to dip down. So basically keep your elbow higher than your wrist, or at least in line with. You'll note that I'm raising ever so slightly at an angle. If I go too far out to the side, I find my traps take over a lot. Another consideration is you'll note how much easier the right side is than the left. Like I said, imbalance, it's a weakness. I will do the weaker side first, immediately go into the stronger side and match reps. And eventually that gap will close, hopefully. Remember, it's a raise variation, like a lateral raise variation, not a shrug. Keep your shoulders down, don't shrug up every rep. Not what we're trying to achieve here. Our traps get worked sufficiently through many other movements. We want to try and reduce their involvement in movements here. If your traps are coming in a lot, you're either going too heavy or you need to alter your arm angle. One thing when doing dumbbell raise variation that helped me, especially when learning the movement, is trying to almost touch the corners of the room, like so. Slight angle, so more into the scapular plane, and then really trying to make my arms as long as possible. I don't do that so much now because I've familiarized with the movement. It's a good way of teaching people how to lateral raise with minimal trap involvement or recruitment. So although I typically roast this movement due to its lack of stability, I'm doing it because I was told to do it. And now, like I said before, I'm going to do as I'm told. I'm also going to be brutally honest, I can't actually be bothered to wheel a bench all the way over here to set up the support to make it more stable because it is just so much effort. The gym's really busy. I'm already anxious as it is. That's not make it worse. So I'm doing a standing cable fly variant, but I treat flies like a press. I've mentioned this before, I think in like a My Kids Retell video. When looking at any pressing or flying variation, you look at what your upper arm is doing. Whether I'm pressing or flying, the amount of bend does not dictate what my upper arm does. If I straighten my arms out, I'm probably going to put more pressure on my biceps. I want to avoid that, so I'm going to bend them. That's all my chest work done. So you'll note how I don't do mass amounts of volume for things. Do 3 chest movements, 2, maybe up to 3 sets each, a couple of shoulder movements, a couple of triceps done. And then on my upper body day, which is later in the week, I'll do 1 chest movement, 1 shoulder movement. And again, it's very much targeted to my weaknesses, but also taking a relatively like low to moderate volume approach and trying to put emphasis into intensity, which is something a lot of people neglect. I preach this all the time on the channel. is that so many people put effort into volume, doing more, when in reality you just need to do better. And that often comes from training hard enough, which many people do not do. Our perception of how close we are to failure is often quite skewed from reality. We probably have more in the tank, especially when it comes to leg work, I find. Lateral raise, this time seated. Primarily, it is largely just to shift that emphasis away from swinging. Oftentimes when we reach points of fatigue, when doing standing variations, it's very common for us to start swinging, implementing too much body English or momentum. I'm trying to mitigate that or reduce that simply by creating a more stable base in which I cannot swing, being this. I like leaning back slightly, so as you see it's not directly upright, just feels a little bit nicer. I feel I can get a little bit more tension throughout a greater range of motion, which I quite like. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, it's just how it feels, and quite frankly, I like it. Why am I wearing elbow sleeves? Great question. My elbows hurt. I think one thing I found getting stronger, and it's probably my own fault, is when you get stronger quite quickly, I maybe didn't give my tendons enough time to adapt, and it's kind of led to a bit of tendon issues in my elbows and knees, and I find that a little bit problematic. It's fine for movements like this, I just can't bother to take them off, but when I do skull crushers later on, normally they're okay, but recently they've been causing some issues because I'm lifting a lot heavier now, and I just find it hurts my shoulders. So moving on to the first tricep movement of the day. Triceps don't need to be overcomplicated. When looking at what the triceps do, it is as simple as they extend the elbow. So they take your elbow from bent to straight. How do we do that? Extensions. I've mentioned 1,000 times before how you can bias different heads of the tricep. Tri meaning three heads, medial, lateral, and long head. And I think there's no point me waffling on about biasing certain heads. All you need to know is when you're in a fixed shoulder position like so, and you're extending like so, you're probably going to be putting a little bit more emphasis on the long head, which is kind of like the meaty part of the tricep underneath here. You don't need to overcomplicate it. Be that a V-bar pushdown, a daisy chain, a rope, a long rope, single arm, cuff, whatever it may be. Find an extension you like, find an extension you can do, and find an extension that you can progress on. It's just that simple. I wanted to use a long rope, but it's currently in use behind me. This will do, hopefully. I actually don't know if this will work. I don't know actually, we'll find out. It's very sore on the hands. Much better, much more comfortable in the hands. Also slightly longer rope, which allows me to potentially further shorten the triceps. It's like when I'm doing this, I'm almost trying to extend behind the body, and that allows me to shorten the triceps just a little bit more, which I quite like. Do you need to? It's not that deep. There's also an argument here. If you can get your upper arm more in line with the body, you can line up the long head of the tricep with its origin point in the scapula. So that's why I do the little bit of a flare and line up the long head a little bit better. Potentially going to be a little bit better for gains. Is it going to make that much of a difference? Probably not, let's be honest. A lot of people do struggle with getting their upper arm back. The easiest way to do that, one of the easiest ways, is don't think about pulling the upper arm back. Literally think about retracting your scapula. Shoulders back. What does my upper arm do when my shoulders go back? Goes back too. Now we have to wait for a bench. There might actually be a bench free. Let's find out. Last move of the day, skull crushers, incline. Don't know why, I just prefer incline. Always have. Feel like I can get a better range of motion. It feels a little bit nice on my shoulders and elbows, which is key. Note how I'm doing this last. Although it's typically like a heavier movement, I do it last when my elbows are as warm as possible. I've got a bit of elbow pain. Doing it last means I can mitigate that slightly. I think I am aware that I can't just avoid it and work around it. I do need to work on it as well as around it. I'm not really a big believer in like taking time off. I don't think you need to in a lot of cases. I think it's learning about working around things and figuring out what the problem is, how you can address it, then get back to 100% as quickly as possible. So very much a big believer in movement is medicine and pain-free movement is key. This doesn't hurt me to the point where I know it's detrimental. Quite frankly, when you train to any kind of like extreme, Something will always hurt a little bit. You will always have niggles here and there. That is just life. If I stopped training every time something hurt, I'd never train again. Understanding the difference between pain is one thing, discomfort is another, but also manageable pain. And this is what this is. And it is only one set, so I'll probably get over it. So that's actually the video. I don't really do these very often because, to be blunt with you, they never do that well on YouTube, just because my audience probably doesn't care that much about my training, although I think it's quite nice for me to film it, to look back on it and be like, aha, this is what I either believed then and don't believe now, or this is what I look like then, or how I progressed then and how I've progressed now. Sort of like a bit of a little trip down memory lane, we'll say. But my push session is largely underwhelming and also my longest and biggest session of the week. Most of my sessions don't actually last that long. I think when I'm not filming, I probably get that session done in an hour and a half. Most of my sessions are about an hour and 15. So next video is the part 2 of the back tier list, where we're looking at the upper back. Yes, upper back. And then from there, we're done. So thank you for tolerating me. Thank you for tolerating my very pale complexion in the gym. And thank you for tolerating the video. Also, TFNL coaching is always linked down below in the description if you fancy it, and also even the comment section too. Like, comment, share, subscribe, please.